What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J and we are locked in. We have a new Netflix series called 0 Day starring Robert De Niro. Now, it's a limited series and it's only 6 episodes, but what I've seen so far, I think this is a must watch. What this show is about is a conspiracy theory where there's a cyber attack going on and it's harming and shutting down everything. And on 0 Day, 3,402 people were unalive because all the power just went out. Now it's up to Robert De Niro, aka George, the former president, to figure out who is behind this cyber attack. But before we jump into this and break down episode 1, if you like conspiracy theories, if you like trying to solve the case, because you know I like trying to piece things together, then 0 Day might be a show for you. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Make sure you hit that like button, and let's go ahead and jump into it. This is episode 1 of 0 Day on Netflix. We start the episode off with our main character, former President George Mullen. Now you hear people banging on the door, boom, boom, hey, sir, we need to hear from you. And he's over here trying to get into the safe. While he's trying to get into the safe, he grabs a picture, and it's him and 2 other people from 1975. He ends up getting into the safe, but we don't know what exactly he's looking for. Now this scene right here is in the future because we're gonna go back 3 days earlier right after this. But he does get into the safe. In all of the Secret Service, they finally kick in the door and get a response from George Mullen. Now, 3 days earlier, we see George going through his normal morning routine. When you're a former president, you still got your own Secret Service. You still making you some money. So he has a chef, and he's talking about how the bird feeder, the squirrels are getting in there. He sees that his wife, the former first lady, she's up to become a judge, and things are going smooth. He's at the house, he got his presidential mug, and he has a nice little scrambled omelet here and some bacon, the typical breakfast. The first meeting of the day for George is with a ghostwriter because, a former president, he's about to write a memoir. He's getting paid, a publishing deal, and she's asking him about the book. Now, you remember that picture he grabbed in the opening scene? She actually spotted it. So they're talking about everything that's going on, and she's basically asking him, what's the timeline for you to get this book done? He's like, oh, I can get you guys a draft. But then she brings up his son. Now, his son passed away 12 years ago, and once she brings up the son, he pretty much tells her, get out of here. He doesn't want to talk about that book anymore. So she pretty much blew whatever she was supposed to come here for, because it was really pushing him forward so this publishing company can make some money. After she leaves the house from getting kicked out for mentioning George's son, this is where we see 0 Day begin to happen. She calls her boss Ben, and she's like, man, he wouldn't budge on that book. But then her phone goes out. The GPS on the driver's phone goes out, and we're all wondering what the heck is happening. So she's like, hello? We see a light flashing. It turns off also. And the next thing we see, her cell phone says, caution, this will happen again. And we're looking at the phone, this will happen again. Excuse me, sir, does your phone say this will happen again? We're all looking around and confused. I'm looking down at my phone, not paying attention to the road, and right out of nowhere, the car gets smashed by a train because all of the power has went out. There's no electricity. Everything has been hacked. The street lights, they're gone. GPS is gone. The railroad crossing, the lights is gone. And the guy was looking at his phone just like we were and got caught off guard. R.I.P. Jeez. Today is 0 Day. 0 Day has officially begun. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC, J, the Mo you know. Country hit by widespread technology outage. Mass casualties feared. George is looking at this. The Secret Service, they had came and got him. So at this point, everyone is nervous as heck. Trains derailed. Planes crashing into each other. Cars colliding. No one knows what the heck is going on right now. Now, of course, the White House, they have to make a comment. So they got the speaker coming out, and he's like, listen, this is bipartisan. It don't matter which side of the aisle you're on, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whoever you are. This is a time for America to come together. This is a data breach. This is a cyber attack, not on just us, but the whole country. Now, right now, the first person they're thinking is the big three: North Korea, China, and Russia. But they're zeroing in on Russia. In the Russian consulate, we've seen a guy go in there and get his pistol from the drawer. But no one has an idea of who, what, when, where, or why this happened. George, being a former president, he knows everything that goes on behind the scenes. And right now, he's saying no one has an idea. So when they give a speech to the public, they're just pouring gasoline on the fire, because it's kind of putting fear out there. It's kind of saying, hey, we're not sure what's going on. This is very dangerous. But we also hear his wife say, hey, I seen a body today at the train track. Now, we know it was the ghostwriter that came over to the house earlier, because she got smacked up. So George, he just waiting to hear, because of course, former presidents, they do get briefings. We know that Donald Trump just told Biden he can't get him anymore, but former presidents do get briefings to know what's going on. The next day, a meeting pops up, and a gentleman by the name of Rogers has been sitting outside. They let Rogers in, and George sits down. He's like, what are you doing here? Because Roger works over at the White House. Now he's like, listen, I got a call from the White House, and they're talking about everything that's going on. No one really knows what's happening. But he has a proposal, and basically he's telling George, you're the former president, come out and just have a few words. And George is like, man, I don't do that no more. I'm done. I retired as a president. I'm enjoying my retirement. He's like, no, I think the people of America would appreciate that. Because, you know, whenever something tragic happens, you have former presidents come out and speak on the situation. So Roger is like, hey, you come, we can do this, just one-time engagement. This will help. It might ease the nerve of the people. George and Roger show up. There's a building that may have collapsed because someone ran into it. There's people trapped up under stuff. He's down here talking to the fire department, and they're giving him a briefing. So what he's doing is telling Roger, hey, do you have any of the connections over with the Army Corps engineers? Because they're the ones that do everything pretty much for almost every branch. The Army Engineer Corps, they're the ones that do like all the building and reconstruct, and they come out and lay down the foundation. But Roger's like, yeah. So when they get here, you can hear the crowd. They're like, hey, what's going on? Everything is messed up. What are we gonna do about this? And people are getting rowdy. So what George does is go over to the crowd, because they get to pushing each other. Hey, you traitor. They knock over the rail. He like, listen, we all need to come together. If you want to stay here and give your prayers for people, good. If not, go home. Because just like you, you're a human, we're all Americans. And this is what makes us, solidarity. And we need to let these police officers do their job and get these Americans from up under this rubble. So everyone's sitting there and they're like, well, he does have a point. Because if you're out and you're okay, yeah, stuff, you may have wrecked your car, but there's people in dire need, and you guys are over here fighting. Let these people do their jobs. Now, it seems that is that easy because everyone's shut up on here. If only we could do that in the real world. But George, he's a difference maker out here. Now, George has a daughter named Alex. Now, she's a congresswoman. And of course, her father is the former president. So some people might look at her like she has a silver spoon. Maybe she gets unfair treatment. But nonetheless, she does her job, and she's going to call her dad out. She's now going to play around. But she calls her dad and she's like, what are you doing? You're a former president. This is my district. I run all of this around here. And you're basically stepping on me and putting me back in your shadow because you're talking to all my constituents. So she's like, Dad, stop it. I'll handle what needs to go on. You go back home. So the relationship between them two, of course, they love each other, but she's trying to get from up under her dad's shadow. The Russian guy that we've seen at the consulate, he meets up with another one, and they're talking about who has this IT, aka Felix, that's going to send a location. So these two Russians, they might be behind this cyber attack. And he's basically asking them, hey, why is it taking forever? I thought this was your family member. He's like, look, man, I don't know anything more than Felix, and he'll send a location, and then from there, we'll work on it. But this other guy, Alexei, he's telling them, we need to get this under control right now. Now, you can tell the young man that came in here, he's super nervous because whatever they got going on, this could go bad quickly. But these two, we're going to definitely have to watch out for them. Prime suspects. We get introduced to the current president, President Mitchell. Now, President Mitchell, aka Miss Evelyn, but we're going to call her President. President Mitchell, she's talking to George about all of his accomplishments, and how he knows this better than anybody. And what she's really bringing him here for, and what they sent Roger over there for, was to get him to be in charge of the 0-day commission. Now, whenever they put together a commission group, their job is to oversee everything, and they pretty much have free reign depending on what the president gives them and Congress allows. So she's saying, I want you to start knocking on doors and arresting people. He's like, who's going to do that? She said, you. I want you to be pulling the triggers behind this. So he has the connections and he knows the right people to put together a team to try to figure out who did this cyber attack. So she's officially putting him back in charge, and he's hesitant to take it at first because, let's be real, you're a retired president. You ain't really trying to get back into this government stuff. But if the money's right, I don't see why not. Now, throughout this series, we'll see George writing in this book. Now, there's something else going on with George also, because he keeps hearing, who killed Bambi? Who killed Bambi? It's some kind of song, who killed Bambi? So right now, he's just writing down notes, and anytime something comes to his mind, he puts it in his little black book, and he keeps this black book close to him at all times. That night at George's house, they do have a little party, welcoming him back into the government and becoming the overseer, the inspector general of the 0-day commission. Now his daughter is, hey, you don't want to be doing this. He's like, I'm just doing it until they get a wraps under this. It shouldn't take long. But she's even saying, you know how this goes. They say one thing and this thing is going to extend out, starts off as a week, 2 weeks, or we'll probably be done in 3 weeks. That turns into a half a year. And she really doesn't want her dad to be back out here because she's finally making a name for herself. And with her dad having this high powered of a position, they don't even need warrants to arrest people. That's how high powered this 0-day commission is. She's like, Dad, just don't do it because they're going to be using you. During the party, Nathan. Now, Nathan is a guy that contacts George, and he's in the shadows, but he knows a lot in his ears to the streets. And he's saying that the GRU, they've been running around. There's a guy by the name of Felix, and there's word that kickbacks been going to the Russian consulate. So that's what we seen earlier. Remember the big three, Russia, China, North Korea. Those are usually the people we look at. Now, he also says that there is a server farm in New York that they've been watching. Now, this is big enough to mine a lot of Bitcoin, which would be good because you make a lot of money, you use a lot of energy, but it'll definitely be worth it. Or it could launch a large cyber attack. Now, remember, Nathan is in the shadows. Nobody really sees him, but him and George have a good relationship, and he's just letting them know, this is what I'm hearing. After everything that's been going down, a lot of thought, his wife telling him no, George accepts the 0-day commission, and he goes out and gives a press conference. You see Roger back there, Secret Service is watching. Congress, bipartisan. They passed this, they okay with it. Remember, no warrants. We're going to figure out who the heck did this, because if this happens again, it could potentially shut down all of America. Right now, this is just a small scale. We don't know what's next. And you hear George's tone of voice. George ain't playing around. He's going to solve this. There's a lot going on for George. Now, he needs to get ready, head on out, take one of these CIA buildings, but he gets a phone call from Nathan. And remember, Nathan knows everything. He's like, hey, this is the only way that this can be solved. I need you to get to your vault. I need you to get such and such paperwork out of the vault. Now, if you remember the beginning scene, this is where we are. We went 3 days earlier, so we went back in time, but now we're at the beginning scene. And the phone is going in and out. He's like, you need to get to your safe and get that out your safe right now. So he runs inside, and this is where we see them trying to break in to get him out. When George goes in there and actually gets in the safe, what does he see in that book? Who killed Bambi? Who killed Bambi? That's the song he's been hearing all episode. And we're all wondering, what the heck? Who killed Bambi? Are they talking about the animal Bambi? Who killed Bambi? But Secret Service, they kick in because they don't know if anything is wrong with him or not. Maybe someone got him, but this is what he was trying to get out the safe. Nathan called him and told him to go and check on all of this. Now we see George really start to lose it. First it was, who killed Bambi? Who killed Bambi? But now he goes in the kitchen and he's like, who is this? Where's Hector? What are you doing in my kitchen? It's a black guy. So I thought he was about to say something, Y'all know what I'm talking about. But his wife comes in like, George, what are you doing? Hector retired 5 years ago. So it looks like his memory is shot. 5 years ago, Hector retired 5 years. We just seen him earlier. So we feeling like George. Are we tripping or is George tripping? Is he losing it? Who killed Bambi? This thing is confusing, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible for you guys. All right, there you go. Episode 1 of 0 Day. Let me know what you think about it. It's kind of confusing. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with him medically. Like, is he just hallucinating or is he really forgetting all of this? But it does jump around a little bit. 0 Day happened. What would you do if you didn't have your phone? You wouldn't be able to listen to me on YouTube right now. You wouldn't be able to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like this kind of content right now. So do that before 0 Day happened to us, because there is a possibility that it could happen. And if you like this kind of content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Be here for tomorrow, episode 2 of 0 Day. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.